The home of the common Joe and the common Sally in the know, even more so than all those media talking heads. Looks like that short video I did about the whole controversy with the University of Oklahoma actually funding a drag queen event at one of their facilities has a little bit of legs to it. It was first brought to me by ATL Sooner, but another article came out. This time they're talking about possibly firing the OU president over some inappropriated funds. And I got this little tidbit from another common Joe and Sally in the know out there, that being Mark Damon Simons. I may have mispronounced your last name, brother. If I did, I'm sorry. But seems like it has some legs to it. Let's talk about it. Well, here we go again, riding on in once again. Here they come. The outlaw posse is now in effect. That's you guys and gals out there having my back as always. Also, I can be found on Twitter at OCF Productions. Now, getting right to it here. Seems like that little short I did, seems like some rumblings are coming about on this whole thing. I read this article about it. And seems like I got some notes here for you. It says Oklahoma lawmakers are calling for the president of Oklahoma to be fired, that the university paid the drag queen headliner $18,000. Now people are saying, well, that's stuff that was donated and funds from blah, 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 and making excuses for them. Let me go ahead and preface this by saying this ain't me attacking Oklahoma. This is the whole system in general, how these things are coming about with these universities. It just happens to be that this happened at Oklahoma. But to say that these funds were gotten in a legal manner is just not true. Or not even a legal manner, but on an up and up manner. Because while these may not be, as it says right here, people say it's not state funds. But if it is student fees, which they are, then it's absolutely money that they were not supposed to be using for this kind of entertainment. If you was going to do that, you could have took these state funds or student fees, University of Oklahoma money, and put it toward scholarships and put it toward cancer research and stuff like that. Because, I would think cancer research is a tad bit more important than having some drag queen show to push your woke agenda and your perverse agenda there. President Joseph, Joseph Harroz, says here that State Republican Rep.Humphrey was shocked at the amount. And it's another example of President Joseph Harroz pushing his mentally ill, perverse, woke agenda. Now, I added the mentally ill part, but Republican Humphrey did say that it was a woke and perverse agenda that this guy is trying to force. And from what I understand from a lot of my other Oklahoma buddies out there, this is not something new. This is something that's been percolating ever so slightly. Back even when President Boren was in charge. And like I said, this is not me targeting Oklahoma. This is something that could happen at any university out there with the supposed diverse equity organizations that they have on each and every campus. Well, guess what? Diversity has nothing to do with your sexual preference. And if it does, it shouldn't. Diversity is about giving people equal opportunity of all races, all creeds, and so on and so on. And if it is about sexual preference, well, then diversity means that you need to give ample support, not just to your drag queen fetish there, President Harroz, or whatever your last name is, but you should also do it for other events that are wanting to be held at those facilities, like the Stadium Christian event that was held. They had to put up all the money. They had to do everything on their own. And this was a student-sponsored event, from what I'm understanding. And yet they couldn't get funds to do this, but you can do this, do something for a drag queen show? That's just crazy to me. They went on to say in the article that she was given the money. Her name was Yevi Oddly. She was paid $18,000. Why are we spending $18,000 of OU money, once again, that could have been allotted for scholarships in cancer research, for Yevi Oddly? Once again, just to backtrack on what Humphrey said, not Republican, but Representative Humphrey Representative Humphrey says the school has lost its moral compass to serve a woke and perverted agenda. For they paid she $18,000. And correct y'all on something real quick out there. Fox News or whoever's article this is. By the way, Fox, they're turning into a bunch of little punk cowards as well. We know what they done to Tucker Carlson. Well, I'm not a big Tucker Carlson fan because he was a pretty negative guy sometimes. He still shouldn't have been let go or forced out or whatever it was that happened. But this is not a she. So, first of all, if you're going to do an article about this and try to make it in a slanted manner or something, that's fine. But at least own it being slanted, because this is exactly the problem. It's not a she, it's a he. He put on a mask, he put on a woman face, put on makeup, and portrayed himself as a she. It comes back to the whole transgender thing, which is a made-up word, just like Santa Claus or the Tooth Fairy. Yes, they're actually words that portray something, but it's just like a unicorn. There's no such thing as unicorns. You can put a horn on a horse's head and paint it rainbow colors and call it a unicorn, but it's still not a unicorn. Just like these transgenders, that it's mostly the men that want to be women. The women that want to be men, you never see them trying to compete in the NBA or the NFL or Olympic trials in swimming, because they know they can't because of what, class? The bone density of a man. You can saw your little Peter off if you want to and make a vagina down there out of Play-Doh or whatever the hell you make it out of. But you will never, ever be a biological female, no matter how hard you try. That was a choice that was put upon you in the process of your parents getting together and conceiving you. And as long as you got a bone density of a man, you're going to have an inherent advantage over every woman out there in every event. Unless they can come up with some kind of technology where they can just zap you and make your entire biological system female, it's not fair that you get to compete in women's sports. Women have fought far too hard and far too long to get almost on an equal footing with men. Now, of course, they're not on equal footing in everything yet, but that's the women's fight. Not a man's fight to take away what they've built. They're going in and they're taking spots away from real biological women. And as long as you got the bone density of a man, it's never going to be fair. And the only reason you do that is a couple reasons probably. There's probably more, but the ones that pop to my head are, number one, you're a coward. You can't win at the you can't win or make the team in the sport that you're biologically bound to. You were born with the bone density of a man, then you should have to compete in a man's sport and stop being a coward. If you're not good enough to compete, then you're just not good enough to compete. You can't just up one day and say, declare yourself a woman. I mean, that would be like me saying, you know what, I decided I'm going to be a 12-year-old kid and I'm going to go back and make the junior high basketball team or some shit. That's exactly what it's like. My body and my muscles and my bones, they're not 12-year-old bones, just like your bones aren't female bones. So I had to get on a rant about that, but That's what all this boils back down to for me, is the whole transgender movement thing. And for a guy like President Harroz, in the position he is, to just throw $18,000 out there, something that nobody has agreed upon across the board, is a fireable offense. If you want to believe that those people, those made up words out there that believe that they're whatever they want to be that day, they might want to be a giraffe tomorrow, I don't know, then that's your prerogative, President Harroz. That's your personal pastime prerogative. If you want to do that in your free time and bring money out of your back pocket to fund it, that's fine. But don't use the University of Oklahoma's funds to do it. And I applaud Representative Humphrey and the lawmakers of Oklahoma for calling this out. Now all they got to do is do something more about it. Now that you called it out, enforce some kind of rule, some kind of law, or fire this guy. It's time to stand up to these people, man. These people, these transgenders and stuff, they've long portrayed conservative people as the belligerent ones and the ones that are violent when they're not. I'm not a conservative or a Democrat anymore, but the conservatives aren't the ones that's going out there and trying to force their agenda on people. If you want to believe what you believe, that's fine, but don't be trying to force it on people. I mean, you people out there that believe in all this woke transgender stuff, y'all just as bad as the KKK back in the day, because every time someone disagrees with y'all, y'all get violent and y'all label them with names that aren't even true. And the names that you do label them with sometimes are actually about you. It's actually a reflection of you, because you're the one that's a bigot, ashamed that you're a gay man. You're the one that's racist. You think that white people and other orientations and stuff like that, straight people, they don't deserve to have diversity. Diversity it's supposed to be inclusion of everyone. And you're not including everyone. You're just including a certain segment that has bellyached and complained that they've been mistreated for so long, and yet they're not. They just use that crutch when things get tough and they can't achieve their goals because they're just not good enough. It's got all to do with the person and the fact that biologically you are not good enough to do whatever it is that you're trying to do. Now you just want to try to force your way because you couldn't achieve your goals on your own. And that's my opinion on it. If you don't mind, there's a little heart down here. Throw me a few dollars in the coffers. So thanks, heart. Also, like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel, The Big Four. And as always, KMCA to all your other teams. Class is now officially dismissed.